What if the way you're loving everyone else is exactly what's missing from your own life? It's time to stop being a backup plan in your own story and start raising the standard for how you care for the most important person you'll ever know, you. We've all seen the aesthetic version of self-care. It's all over our feeds. The perfectly staged bubble baths with rose petals, the expensive silk pajamas, the minimalist morning routines where someone is whisking matcha in a sun-drenched kitchen. It looks beautiful, sure. But if we're being honest, most of that is just decoration. You can have the most Pinterest perfect life and still feel like a stranger to yourself. You can go through all the motions of wellness while still being the first person to abandon yourself when things get messy. The real core of self-love isn't about how your life looks to an outsider. It's about how it feels to live inside your own skin. Most of us are experts at loving other people. We give our partners our best energy. We offer our friends endless patience. And we hold space for our family's mistakes with a tenderness that is almost infinite. We show up. We listen. We nurture. But when it comes to the relationship we have with ourselves, that's usually where the grace runs out. We become our own harshest critics, our most demanding bosses, and the first person we sacrifice to make someone else's life easier. This is what I call self-abandonment. It happens so quietly, we often don't even realize it's occurring. It's when you say yes to a social plan you're too exhausted for because you don't want to disappoint a friend, even though your body is screaming for rest. It's when you ignore your own intuition to keep the peace. It's when you prioritize everyone else's comfort while your own needs sit in the basement gathering dust. We've been conditioned to believe that putting ourselves first is selfish, but here is the truth. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and you certainly cannot build a meaningful life on a foundation of self-neglect. True self-love begins when you decide to stop abandoning yourself. It's a shift from how can I be better for them to how can I be here for me? It means showing up for yourself with the same fierce loyalty you'd give to a best friend. It's about realizing that you are not a backup plan. You aren't just the person who manages the schedule, pays the bills, or keeps everyone else happy. You are a person worthy of your own attention, your own curiosity, and your own care. When we talk about dating yourself, we aren't talking about a consolation prize for being single or a way to kill time until someone else shows up. We're talking about a radical act of reclaiming your identity. It's about learning to enjoy your own company so much that your sense of worth isn't tied to someone else's validation. This is where the standard is set. If you treat yourself like an afterthought, you're inadvertently teaching the world that you are an afterthought. But when you start treating yourself with intentionality, when you honor your boundaries and speak to yourself with kindness, you raise the bar. You start building a life that actually feels good from the inside out, not just one that looks good on Instagram. This is the moment you stop waiting for someone else to choose you and you finally choose yourself. Once you've made the decision to stop abandoning yourself, the next question is, how do you actually communicate that love? We've all heard of the 5 love languages in the context of romance, how we show up for a partner. But we rarely talk about how they serve as the ultimate roadmap for self-connection. Think of these as your inner dialects. Most of us are walking around speaking a foreign language to our own souls, wondering why we feel so disconnected or drained. When you start applying these languages to yourself, the conversation shifts from self-criticism to a deep, resonant self-awareness. Let's start with words of affirmation. For many of us, the voice in our head is a drill sergeant or a perfectionist who never takes a day off. We would never dream of speaking to a friend the way we speak to ourselves when we make a mistake. Reclaiming this love language isn't about standing in front of a mirror and saying empty phrases you don't believe. It's about becoming a witness to your own life. It's that simple practice of journaling, not to write a masterpiece, but to offload the day. It's about acknowledging a win, no matter how small. Maybe you finally had that difficult conversation, or maybe you just remembered to drink enough water. Giving yourself credit out loud or on paper is how you build trust with yourself. It's saying, I see you, I see how hard you're trying, and I'm proud of us. Then there's quality time, which is perhaps the most misunderstood. Being alone is not the same thing as spending quality time with yourself. You can spend 5 hours alone scrolling through TikTok, but that's not connection. That's distraction. It's numbing out versus filling up. Quality time with yourself means being present. It's the flow state where you lose track of time because you're actually engaged with your own spirit. Maybe it's a long walk without a podcast, just listening to your own thoughts. Maybe it's a hobby that makes you feel like a kid again. Painting, gardening, or even just sitting with a coffee and watching the world go by. It's the moments where you aren't checking your phone to see what everyone else is doing because what you are doing is enough. We often think of acts of service as something we do for others, but for self-love, it's about future you. It's the kindness of cleaning the kitchen at night so you wake up to peace instead of chaos. It's prepping a healthy meal because you know you'll be tired on Wednesday. These aren't chores. They are love letters sent through time. You are saying to your future self, I care about your peace of mind, so I handled this for you. Then we have gifts. This isn't about mindless consumerism or trying to buy your way out of a bad mood. It's about intentional generosity. It's the difference between an impulse buy that ends up in a junk drawer and investing in something that supports your growth. Like those high-quality yoga mats that actually make you want to practice. It's about honoring your values, not chasing trends. Finally, there's physical touch. We forget that our bodies are the vessels for our entire experience of life. How often do we touch ourselves with frustration? Scrubbing our skin too hard, rushing through a shower, or looking in the mirror only to find flaws. Applying this love language means slowing down. It's the gentle application of skincare, a long stretch, or the feeling of the sun on your skin. It's about coming back to your body and treating it like the home it is, rather than a project that needs fixing. When you learn these 5 dialects, you stop waiting for someone else to fill your tank. You realize you have the keys to your own heart, and you finally start speaking a language that makes you feel truly understood. If you're starting to see how these inner dialects can change your day, imagine what 30 days of intentional practice could do for your soul. I've put together something to help you bridge that gap. My ebook, 30 Days to a Better You. It's designed to take these concepts off the screen and into your daily life with guided steps to help you stop the cycle of self-abandonment for good. You can find the link in the description. Let's make this the month you finally commit to the relationship that matters most. If the 5 love languages are the vocabulary of self-love, then the solo date is the actual conversation. It is the practice that takes all those internal shifts and brings them into the physical world. For many, the idea of taking yourself out to dinner, to a museum, or even just to a movie alone feels deeply uncomfortable. There is this lingering shadow of what will people think, or the fear that being alone in public is a glaring sign of loneliness. But here is the secret. There is a massive life-altering difference between being lonely and being comfortably, intentionally alone. Dating yourself is not a backup plan for when your friends are busy or your partner is out of town. It is a deliberate appointment with the most important person in your life. When you go on a date with someone you're falling for, you're curious, right? You ask them questions, you listen intently, you try to figure out what makes them laugh and what makes them feel alive. You don't just sit there scrolling on your phone ignoring them. Yet, when we find ourselves alone, that's exactly what we do. We use our phones as a shield to protect us from the perceived awkwardness of our own company. The magic of the solo date happens when you put the shield down. It's about romancing your own company. Think about the things you're always waiting for someone else to do with you. Maybe it's trying that new bistro down the street, or taking a color walk, where you just wander through a neighborhood taking photos of everything that's a specific shade of blue. When you do these things alone, the experience changes. You aren't compromising on which table to sit at or how long to stay at the gallery. You are following your own rhythm. You are learning the texture of your own joy without it being filtered through someone else's opinion. This practice is where you truly discover who you are when no one is watching. Are you the person who actually likes quiet, slow mornings, or have you just been mirroring the busyness of those around you? Do you actually enjoy that specific type of music, or was it just something you played to fit in? On a solo date, there is no one to perform for. There is no Instagram version of you required. It's just you and your curiosity. One of the most powerful solo dates isn't even about going out. It can be as simple as cooking yourself a comfort dinner from your childhood, playing nostalgic music, and actually sitting at the table. No TV, no laptop. Just enjoying the meal you prepared for yourself. It's about the ceremony of it. It's saying, I am worth the effort of a nice meal and a set table, even if I'm the only one here to see it. When you start romancing yourself this way, something shifts in your energy. You stop radiating a sense of neediness for external validation because you are already being validated by your own actions. You become self-contained, not in a cold or distant way, but in a way that feels grounded and secure. You realize that your happiness isn't a destination that someone else has to drive you to. You have the keys, and the car is already running. The solo date is your weekly reminder that you are a whole, interesting, and vibrant person all on your own. And that is a relationship worth investing in every single day. We often talk about love as a feeling, a flutter in the chest or a rush of affection. But when you are dating yourself, you quickly realize that love is also a series of choices. In a relationship, you might show your partner you care by picking up their favorite snack or filling their gas tank when it's cold outside. These are acts of service. They are the quiet, practical ways we make life easier for the people we value. When we turn this lens inward, acts of service become a profound form of self-respect. It is the art of taking care of future you. Think about the version of yourself that is going to wake up tomorrow morning. That person is, in a very real sense, someone you are in a long-term relationship with. How do you want them to feel when they open their eyes? Do you want them to feel frantic, greeted by a sink full of dirty dishes, a disorganized workspace, and the stress of 1,000 small things left undone? Or do you want them to feel supported? When you take 10 minutes tonight to close down your kitchen, wiping the counters, setting the coffee maker, and tidying the living room, you aren't just doing chores. You are performing a radical act of kindness for the person you will be in 8 hours. This is the shift from "I have to do this" to "I am doing this for me." When we live in a state of constant chaos, we are sending a subconscious message to our brains that we don't deserve calm. We are telling ourselves that our peace is negotiable. But when you start prioritizing these little acts of service, you are essentially building a scaffolding of stability for your mental health. You are creating a life that functions as a sanctuary rather than a battlefield. Consider the future you on a Wednesday afternoon when work is piling up and the energy is low. The version of you on Sunday afternoon can show that person immense love by spending an hour prepping a few nutritious meals. It's not about a strict diet or a fitness trend. It's about acknowledging that Wednesday you is going to be tired and hungry, and you care enough about that version of yourself to ensure they are fed and nourished. You are acting as your own protector and your own provider. These acts of service also extend to our digital and mental spaces. Organizing your desktop, unsubscribing from emails that make you feel inadequate, or finally setting that do not disturb timer on your phone are all ways of clearing the path for yourself. It's about removing the friction from your daily existence. We often wait for a knight in shining armor or a perfect partner to come along and fix our lives. But the truth is, you have the power to be your own hero in the most mundane ways. Every time you choose to do something that makes your future life a little smoother, you are casting a vote for the person you are becoming. You are saying, "My time is valuable. My peace is a priority. I deserve to live in an environment that reflects my worth." This isn't about perfectionism. Life is messy, and some nights the dishes will stay in the sink, and that's okay. It's about the intention. It's about moving through your day with an awareness of your own needs and taking the small, consistent steps to meet them. When you treat your daily responsibilities as acts of devotion to yourself, the mundane becomes meaningful. You stop running away from your life and start building one that actually supports you. This is how you stop being a passenger in your own journey and finally take the wheel, ensuring that wherever you're going, you're arriving with your dignity and your peace intact. Everything we've discussed, the solo dates, the shifting mindset, the future you chores, leads to this final transformative truth. The way you love yourself isn't just a private affair. It is the blueprint. It is the silent, powerful instruction manual that you hand to the world every single day. We often spend our lives trying to explain to people how we want to be treated. We ask for respect, we plead for attention, and we hope for tenderness. But the most effective way to communicate your value isn't through your words. It's through your example. You are teaching the world how to love you by showing them how you love yourself. When you start dating yourself and raising your own standards, you create a ripple effect that touches every relationship you have. Think about it. If you treat your own time as sacred, if you honor your own boundaries, and if you speak to yourself with radical kindness, you subconsciously set a threshold. Anyone who enters your life will quickly realize that they cannot offer you less than what you already give yourself. They can see that your cup is already full, so they aren't there to save you. They are there to complement the beautiful life you've already built. This is the standard. It's not about being cold, arrogant, or too good for anyone. It's about being so intimately acquainted with your own worth that you no longer have an appetite for crumbs. When you've taken yourself out to a beautiful dinner and enjoyed your own company, you're less likely to tolerate a date who shows up late and treats you with indifference. When you've learned to listen to your own intuition through journaling and quality time, you're less likely to stay in a friendship that requires you to shrink yourself to fit in. You've already tasted the high-quality love you can provide for yourself, So your BS detector becomes incredibly sharp. But there's a beautiful flip side to this too. By loving yourself well, you aren't just pushing away the wrong people. You are inviting the right ones in. You are showing them the path. When you are open about your solo dates or your need for quality time alone, you are giving others permission to do the same. You are modeling a healthy, self-sufficient way of existing in the world. You become a person who doesn't need connection to survive, but chooses connection because it adds value. That is the most attractive energy a human being can possess. The energy of someone who is truly, deeply at home in their own life. It's important to remember that this isn't a one-time event. You don't just reach self-love and stay there forever. You are a living, breathing, evolving person. The version of you 5 years from now will have different needs and different love languages than the version of you today. This is a lifelong relationship. You get to go first. You get to buy the flowers. You get to write the love letters. And you get to be the one who stands up for your own peace. So, as we close this chapter, I want you to remember, you don't do self-love. You become someone who loves themselves. Every small habit, every intentional moment of silence, and every act of service for your future self is a brick in the foundation of a life that feels good, not just one that looks good. You are the architect of your own joy. Lead by example. Raise the standard. And watch how the rest of the world rises to meet you there.